Hello and welcome. I'm Elaine Canyon, sweetly writing happily ever after, one book at a time. And in this video, we're building your cover design toolbox. We're going to keep talking about color today, and we'll keep talking about color in the next couple of videos too. In the last video, I introduced you to certain terms that we use when we're talking about color, so that you can better understand what we're going to talk about today, which is how to combine colors together in pleasing ways. If you haven't watched the last video, you do probably want to go back and watch that unless you're really familiar with terms like hue, value, saturation, tone, tint, that kind of thing. If you know those words and you feel comfortable with them when it comes to color theory, then you'll probably be fine in this video. Color combinations can be tricky, but in design, we do have some tried and true methods that have worked really well. And just like in writing, we learn the rules so that we can bend the rules. So today we're going to talk about the basics on combining colors. When you have a color combination that works well together and is appealing to the eye in different ways, then we call this a color harmony. We're going to talk about 7 color harmonies today, and these are the basic ones that you get introduced to in your entry-level color theory classes. To talk about these, we're going to use a color wheel. Now, this is not the one that I had to use in my college classes. The one I had to use in my college classes was much nicer than this one, but then I had kids. If you buy a really nice color wheel, I suggest to you keeping it up out of the way of pets and children because I don't have my nice one anymore. This one is still good, and I've been doing this long enough that I don't actually need the one that does all the really fancy things anymore. It would be nice to have it, and I might still get one at some point, but they can get kind of expensive. This little guy was, when I bought it, I think it was $6 for 2 of them, which is part of the reason why I bought it. It was at my local art store, my local paint and art store. And all it is it shows you all of the colors on the color wheel on the outside, and it has a back too. And on the front, it's going to show you what happens if you add blue to it, what happens if you add yellow to it, you add red. So if you're adding those primary colors to the color, and then what happens if you add white and black. So if you remember what happens if we add shade and tint. There are some really nice ones out there. The one I had in college was really nice. It would show me tones, different levels of tones. So I had like a plastic overlay that showed me different varying grays that I could add to tone the colors. It was really nice. Someday I'll go back and get one. So on the back of this one is where it's going to show us the most important things. So what it shows is the different ways that a color can be combined. And we're going to start with complementary. Complementary is finding the opposite of a color. So here I have blue, and then the complementary color is the color directly across from it, which is orange. This is a really good color combination if you want to provide contrast. If you're looking to have a really stark difference between your colors, this is a great way to do that. There's also split complementary. This one is hard. I don't tend to use this one. I tend to break this one where I will do split complementary and then throw the third one out. But for split complementary for blue, you have this red-orange color, and then you have this yellow-orange color. So we go directly across, and then instead of taking our exact opposite, we split it, and we take the 2 colors to the side of it. I like this a lot better when I do what I said before, and you choose one of them, as opposed to saying, we're going to do 2 kind of close colors and then 1 very opposite color. I like to say, okay, I'm going to go across, I'm going to look at the split complementary colors, and I'm going to pick one of them. What's nice about that is that it softens. Instead of feeling so contrasting, it can actually help to still be eye-grabbing and attention-grabbing and provide that contrast, but it does it in a way that doesn't feel so harsh. Our third color harmony that we're going to talk about is called an analogous color harmony. What that means is we're just taking a chunk out of our color wheel. So if I wanted to do an analogous color harmony and I needed green to be one of my colors, I could do green, and yellow. And I could take that chunk, and that would give me 3 colors. I could also, if green needed to be one of them, take this green, this teal, kind of blue-green color, and blue. And that would all give me another set. You can go up to 4. You can also do this in all cool colors or all warm colors, because if you look at the color wheel, let's turn to this side, If you look at the color wheel here, it's split to warm colors and cool colors. So my warm colors are all of my reds and my yellows and my oranges, and then all of my cool colors are my greens and my blues and my purples. And that's another form of an analogous color combination. I don't suggest you use tons of these. If you're gonna do it, I would suggest 4 to 5 at the most, because this can get really messy. Monochromatic is the next one we're going to talk about. And what that means is we take one color. So in this case, I'm going to take violet or purple. And all I'm going to do for my color scheme is I'm going to pick tints, shades, and tones of this purple. So I'll only add white, black, and gray to the one color I've chosen. And then that helps to add depth while also not making it feel busy, because I've only chosen one color, really. And that hue, I'm just varying it as I go through the design. The next harmony that we're going to talk about is a triadic harmony. What that means is we're going to take 3 colors that are evenly spaced on the color wheel and form a triangle with them. So in this case, we're looking at red, yellow, and blue, the 3 primary colors. They're perfectly spaced. They always will be on every color wheel you create. And they form that triangle for us. Triadic does really well, but what's important about it is making sure that you choose a dominant color for it. When you try and use these 3 colors equally, it tends to be overwhelming to the eye, whether it's primary colors, secondary colors, or anything in between. Similarly, the next one we're going to talk about, tetradic, is also something where picking dominant colors is important. Tetradic is formed by taking 2 sets of complementary colors that when you put them together form a square on the color wheel. So here I've got yellow, and then its opposite, its complementary, is purple, and then blue, and its complementary is orange. So I can draw a square between the 4 of them, and that forms that tetradic color scheme. Just like triadic, pick your dominant colors. It's usually good to pick one dominant color from each complementary set. So like picking blue and yellow as your dominants, and then purple and orange get to be the kind of background colors or the accent colors. But you also do really well by picking one color to be the dominant color and then letting everything else be an accent color. So these 7 color harmonies are the starting point for you. Just like in writing, we learn the rules to break the rules. In design, you learn the rules to play with the rules. So I want you to take the time to look more closely at these color harmonies. Either go online and look at a color wheel, or go to your local art store and buy a little $3 color wheel. Whatever is going to help you take that time to learn how colors interact with each other and what their relationships are. In future videos, we're going to be talking more about what color means and how to pick the right colors for your genre. But for right now, just remember that less is more. You really don't want to go more than about 4 colors, especially when you're starting out in design. I personally try not to use more than 4 colors in any design that I create. One more thing before we end the video is that I want you to make sure that you're bringing a neutral into every color scheme that you put together. When you're picking your palette of what you're going to be using, you want to make sure that you have a neutral color included in there. So you can use your color wheel and you can create the complementary or triadic or tetradic or split complementary or monochromatic, whatever you're choosing, you create that color palette and then you start looking at the neutrals that are going to go well with it. The reason that we do this is because the neutral color will help to tie all of your colors together. It will blend into the background as well. It mitigates contrast, and it also adds depth to your color palette, which is really important, especially if you've chosen to do a monochromatic color palette and you're only using that one hue and then the tones and tints and shades of it. Neutrals also give your eye a break. Think about it the way that scene and sequel is talked about in writing, where your scene is the action and then your sequel is that resting point for your reader and your characters. The neutral color acts as that resting point for your eyes when it's moving through a design. If there's too much color, it can overwhelm the eye and your brain will look away from the design. And so that neutral helps to keep the eye in the design for as long as possible. Do you have a favorite color combination? I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up so we can help other authors find it. And if you want to see more about color and how it applies to your book cover design, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I post videos every Wednesday about cover design, discovery writing, and publishing on a teeny tiny budget. I hope to see you again soon.